Oh shit, I got another one behind me.
What? Oh, come on.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just not in the game, unfortunately.
Oh. Looks like you're still alive. You're turning indefinitely up in the sky. You're having a turn fight with a MiG-17 F5, and you're winning. Dude, you just speed him in a turn fight. You're up in the sky holding about 460, just turning.
This. I want to see if I can get back in the current. Yes. I'm gonna return to the current battle. This is gonna be funny.
You're just turning up in the sky, and they can't kill you.
I'm still alive. Oh my god, I am still alive.
Did you make it into the game?
Yeah, I did.
Dude, that's a 17. You kicked his ass in a turn fight without even being here.
I'm getting this weird glitch. It's like constantly blacking out. You know, I've seen some really weird stuff playing this game, but I'll tell you what, that one kind of took the cake. And this is the other F100, by the way. I did kill them both. This really shouldn't be. But yeah, he's a little bit tankier than the rest of them. It took me a little bit to kill him, but because I was, out of the match for a minute and a half, I edited a little bit coming into it. I didn't have any fuel at the end of this, so I ended up just, putting her down in the dirt and calling it a match because there was an entire team left and I couldn't do anything. But let's move on. So in this episode, I'm going to go through and I'm going to cover the average match, which, may get you 3-4 kills, something like that. I'm going to go through a stall fight with the J32, and then at the end, I'm going to show you my very first match flying this thing, bone stock. I did not use Golden Eagles to boost the performance on this aircraft. I went all the way through from stock, and it really was not that bad. So let's move on. First thing we're going to talk about is your average gameplay. Now this plane is rocket powered. Now I don't completely agree with how they modeled it in this game because the way I understand it is once you light the fuse on this rocket, you weren't able to stop it. But thankfully in War Thunder, you have the ability to control the throttle. So with that in mind, there is a few tricks to this aircraft. Now, being a rocket, it does not lose power at altitude. That is something very much to take into consideration because as you get higher, you will start outpowering a lot of aircraft. Now this is your typical 8.7 to 7.7 battle rating match. F-89Bs, clearly they're not going to do much. You definitely have more power than them. You turn better than them. With this plane, you have 30mm HO 155 cannons, and to be honest, I thought these things were a lot faster, so you'll see me underleading some of my shots. I thought these things were around 900 meters a second. I had to look it up. They are actually 700 meters a second, so they're about the same speed as Aiden's, so plan it accordingly. But a lot of your fights in this aircraft are going to be at a lot slower speeds because this, despite it being rocket powered and in the jet matches, it is actually a considerably slower aircraft. Anything over 700 kilometers an hour and you're kind of wasting your fuel. It's at 900, it's risky. At 800, it's risky because if you start turning, you'll rip your wings. Now, another thing to consider is this aircraft gets 5 minutes of fuel. Well, it's actually a little closer to 6 minutes. This plane is a copy of the 163, the Messerschmitt 163. This is the Japanese version, so it gets a little bit less fuel, and I'll tell you what, it also turns just a slight bit better. Ripjaws and I, we took it into a dual fight, and we tested each plane against each other, and he had more fuel, he did. So in the end, it was kind of a stalemate who would run out of fuel first, but this plane actually turns about a G better at all aspects. So when we were getting low on fuel, and this is the other thing to consider, is the lower you get on fuel, the harder this thing turns. When you got a full load, you're pulling about 8 Gs. When you get to 1 minute of fuel, you're pulling 16 Gs. It's amazing. So the other problem I have with these cannons is a situation like this right here. They are actually kind of slow firing. Those shots were on target, but he actually flew between the bullets. And that is a frustration that I have with this plane. That is probably my biggest complaint. The guns, when they connect, they work. They destroy. They work great. I use tracer belts. Absolutely no issues with them. The other thing you need to consider is the fact that you do not have a lot of fuel, and you need to really take into consideration how to conserve that fuel. So there are a few ways to do that. And for me, like, when I first start, I take off. Once I get off the ground, I get up to about 500 kilometers an hour, and I start to climb up to about 2,000 meters. 2,000 meters was at 6,000 feet. And then I throttle back. Oh, yeah, that was a cool shot. I throttle back to about 10%. If you are below 12%, you'll notice that the rocket actually turns off on this plane. And when you get to 10%, you can almost last indefinitely. The fuel burn is, like, I'll sit there and watch it, and it doesn't go down even by a second on the fuel timer. So, really got to consider that. And the other thing to consider is there's a lot of planes that are faster than you. And every plane that's faster than you, if you're going to chase them, you are wasting fuel. You are wasting fuel. So in situations like that, I just back off, throttle 10%, and then wait for them to come back. If they get close, I start speeding up again because, you know, this plane wants to fly between 300 and 500 kilometers an hour. That's just naturally the speed that it wants to fly. So anything above that, you're kind of wasting your fuel. So just really, really take that into consideration. And yeah, my issues with these guns. Like I say, when they connect, they work great. I'm going to get that kill. I'm lucky that these guys couldn't aim. Thankfully. But that was a rather ideal match. Normally I get like 2-3 kills. Getting 4 kills, getting 5 kills is not something that happens every time with this aircraft because a smart pilot will run. That was just a more ideal match. But how about fighting against a J-32? Now, in this case, in this scenario, I am low on fuel, I am low on ammo. I have 56 seconds of fuel left. But I know that this guy right now, this guy's the last one. Now, J-32, y'all know this thing is a damn space shuttle. It will go straight up. Now, I don't have a lot of speed. If I was in a normal jet, I would never try this. If I was in a C2B, I would definitely do this in a heartbeat. J-32, look at that. He's pulling away from me right now. But I know that I have very little fuel. So my performance has increased almost double because I have very little fuel. So even though I'm going slow, I'm pulling up on this guy. And this right here, this move right here was his mistake because he thought he was going to loop back down. Oh yeah, there's a glitch with this aircraft, by the way. Any sort of neg G, and it fuel starves. I'm not going to go on a rant right now. But, so, I'm slow. He is going up again. It was a fairly smart move in his part. I honestly didn't really think I was going to pull this off. But look at this. Even though I'm going very, very slow, I am still going straight up. 6 seconds of fuel. We're getting closer. He's not accelerating because he doesn't have a rocket. Getting close. Fuel's out. Last shot. I don't know if I'm bragging putting this clip in here because that was fucking awesome. That was awesome. That was almost a mile-long shot. Got him. But just don't. If you're ever fighting against a 163 or a Ki200, don't go straight up. It's just not. It's never going to end well for you, even in a J-32. All right. So lastly, let's talk about how I flew this plane bone stock. This actually might be my second match flying in the damn thing. This thing definitely suffers from stock syndrome. The second you make a turn, you're going to dump a lot of speed. Not to mention, you're going to blow a lot of this fuel trying to get up to speed. So what does that leave you with? In this case, it kind of left me to forcing head-ons. And there will always, sadly, be people in this game that will take head-ons with you. These are 30mm cannons. They shoot very straight, and they work very well. This is exactly how I did it. F-89B pulling up on me, lay in a few bullets, pull off by 1 kilometer, 1 down. The F-89s, I mean, they're in the same situation. They don't turn out well, so they have to force the head-ons. You're going to win against them as long as you pull off when you see the bullets. Use your zoom function. Pull off if you see them shooting, and pull off definitely by 1 kilometer. Here comes the next one, Swift. Pull off by 1 kilometer. Gone. 2 down. At least at this point, you know, if you're flying this plane, if you get 2 head-on kills, at least you're paying for your repair cost. You're not going negative. How about the next one? This guy doesn't take the head-on. We get a nice broadside on him. Lead a little bit. Get his tail control. Out. 3 kills just like that. I didn't even have to get up to speed. 3 kills? That's a decent amount of RP right there. It's going to pay for the repair cost if I die. And that's honestly how I did this. That is exactly how I did all of this. So we finished off those 3. I'm using my power to get back up to altitude a little bit. and I'm gonna level off, get back up to about 550, and chop the throttle. Anything over 550, I feel like I'm just wasting fuel. We got a guy coming towards us. I throttle back. I'm around 10 to 12%. You'll notice the fuel burn has almost completely stopped. But it's enough to keep the aircraft moving at speed. That's all you need. So now we're going in a dive. I'm going to try and see if I can get a broadside shot on. Maybe he'll pull head on. In this case, he pulls the broadside. We lay into him, into his path of travel. See if I can get a kill. We only get a hit. Oh well. That's that. He's got 3 people on him. I'm not going to waste my fuel trying to chase him. He's done anyways. So we power out, climb back up, and just move on. As you can see, there's my 2-minute warning on the fuel. I mean, this will happen very, very quickly, especially when you're stock, because you will waste so much fuel just getting up to speed. You know, the difference between stock when I got to altitude and spade when I get to altitude, I typically, when I was spaded, I would get up to altitude 2 to 3K, and I would have 4 minutes of fuel left, and I could conserve from there. In this aircraft, I was between 3 minutes and 3 minutes and 30 seconds. It's not a lot. It's not a lot at all. 30 seconds goes a long ways if you're conserving fuel in this aircraft. But now, I see there's only a few people left. They're all bombers. I know that bomber over in the distance is probably about to die. I see this guy. I'm going to go ahead and burn because I'm up at altitude. I know if I run out of fuel, I can glide back. Glide speed on this aircraft, 350 kilometers an hour. Even slower if you really want. So, I know that this B-57, his top speed is right around 900 kilometers an hour if he dove. I could go faster than that, so I'm not too concerned by burning the fuel because I will catch him. If this was a Sabre or something else, he would probably get away. Because he's faster, he can do over 1,000, he can do 1,100 on the deck. I can't go that fast. But in this case, get a lot of sparks, but we set him on fire. He is going to burn for a while. He's going to burn for a while, but we're going to get that kill. The B-57 that was on the base, he somehow just died to AA. The other guys over on the other airfield, this is the end of the match. But this is exactly how I did this whole stock grind. Was forcing the head-ons. But guys, please, 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 please do not do full commit head-ons. Especially in this aircraft, because it does not have pilot armor. It's not going to survive even a 50 cal in a head-on. You're going to take it out very quickly. But the guns work. The guns work. Pull off by 1 kilometer. And live. There's not a whole hell of a lot to this aircraft. It turns extremely well, especially when it's low on fuel. There's nothing that's going to outturn it when this thing's low on fuel. Even the Yak 23 can't outturn this thing, but the Yak 23 can actually still very, very better performing aircraft because it fights better at higher speeds. Like I said, this thing, 400, 500, 600 kilometers an hour is its fighting speed. The Yak 23 can get up to a higher speed than you real quick. But if the Yak 23 goes vertical against you, it's fair game. You got him. So keep that in mind, guys. There's really nothing to this plane now. Take it out, enjoy it, try to conserve your fuel, because that is the only real limitation to this aircraft. If it had unlimited fuel, this aircraft would be god tier. Alright guys, so I'm going to leave you with some highlight reels from the last week or so. If you have any questions, let me know. If you haven't already, subscribe. Much appreciated. We'll see you guys around, and stay fast.